This lesson is about keeping the translation faithful when retelling the story. Translation is retelling, as exactly as possible, the meaning of the original source text in a way that is natural in the target language. Ella Stabler, the author of A Translation for Translators in 2008, writes, "The scriptures were originally written in the language of the common people. They were written with the expectation that the recipients could and would understand the meaning clearly." The goals of translation are to translate the source language text so that the message is clear to those that speak the target language, the target language accurately conveys the same meaning it had in the source language, and the target language reads naturally. Be sure to view the translation guideline lessons on clear, accurate, and natural for more information. This is an illustration of the translation process. The translator examines the new translation and compares it with the original meaning of the message. Identify the unknown ideas and important biblical terms of the original text. Translate these portions consistently and faithfully. Look for unknown ideas in the places that are ambiguous or difficult to understand. Then, use the Translation Studio biblical resources to see the helps that others suggest for translation. Identify options that others suggest for translating these portions consistently and faithfully. Sometimes a thing or custom is unknown in the target language. Possible solutions are to use a descriptive phrase, substitute something similar, use a foreign word from another language, use a more general word, or use more specific words. See the lesson on translating unknowns for more information. One kind of unknown idea are words that refer to Jewish and Christian religious customs and beliefs. We call these important biblical terms. Some common unknown ideas are names of places, titles of people who hold an office, and important biblical concepts. Take special note of terms like the following: names of places, such as temple, a building where the Israelites offered sacrifices to God; synagogue, a building where Jewish people assemble to worship God; and sacrificial altar, a raised structure on which sacrifices were burned as gifts or offerings to God. Titles of people who hold an office, such as priest, someone who is chosen to relate to God on behalf of his people; Pharisee, important group of Israel's religious leaders in Jesus' time; prophet, person who speaks God's messages to people; Son of Man; Son of God; and king, ruler of an independent city, state, or country. Key biblical concepts, such as forgiveness, to not resent that person and not be angry at him for doing something hurtful; salvation, being saved or rescued from evil, enemies, or from danger; redemption, the act of buying back something that was previously owned or that was held captive; mercy, helping people who are in need; and grace, help or regard that is given to someone who has not earned it. To translate important biblical terms, follow these 4 steps. Study the meaning of the original word. Compare the word with other words of similar meaning. Think of possible ways to translate the term. Choose one to try. Test the term you have chosen to see if others understand the meaning. The goal of accurate translations is to translate the meaning of the original message clearly, accurately, and naturally, keeping the author's main focus in mind. Remember, important biblical terms should be translated consistently. Use terms that are faithful to the vocabulary of the original biblical languages. Terms addressing the relationship between God the Father and God the Son should be retained in translated content and clarified if needed. This ends this lesson on faithful translations. Be sure to view the other lessons on translation guidelines.